Hi everyone, this week is Parshas Vayishlach. I have a very delicate, but I think important lesson I'd like to share, and I'm going to attempt to do that right now. Rabbi Norman Lamb, in his book, Drashot L'Dorot, inspired me with this idea. It used to be the custom that when the Torah portion was read in the synagogue, it was read verse by verse and translated from Hebrew into the vernacular of Aramaic, so the people who were attending synagogue or the reading of the Torah would understand the contents. There was one exception, and that was in this week's Parsha Vayishlach, where Reuven removes the bed of his father Yaakov from the concubine Bilhah of Rachel, Rachel's handmaid, and he removes the bed, Yaakov's bed, into his mother's tent, Leah. Now what happened? Rachel had passed away, giving birth to Binyamin. We know that Yaakov loved Rachel, and he moved his bed into the handmaid's tent. Reuven thought this was an affront to his mother, and so he removed his father's bed from that tent to his mother's bed. If I haven't lost you yet, here's the point. The verse says that Reuven slept with Bilhah. And that was the verse that was never translated into Aramaic. Why? Because the translation would give the wrong impression. The Gemara tells us that just by moving the bed, it's as if he did it. But of course he did not sleep with his mother. The Gemara tells us that Reuven and all the Shvatim were righteous people. The reason that I'm bringing this point up, which is very sensitive, is that Torah tells us not to lie, but it also tells us we don't have to give all the facts. We don't have to tell over a story that is not necessarily ours, especially a story that is filled with innuendo and mitigating circumstances that we don't get the whole picture. So if we discover or come across a story about someone, we should be really careful not to share it unless we have permission. But even if we think we know the whole story, it may not be our story to tell over. Matter of fact, it's probably not. But I want to take the inverse as well. And that is about not being conceited and bragging and talking too much about yourself. True story. I'm in school and I'm walking through what's called the annex towards another hallway. And there's a student who sees that I'm coming and it's going to ask. He'll have to wait about 10 seconds till I get there. And the boy held the door for me and I said, it was so nice of you to hold the door for me and wait for me. What's your name? And he said to me, I'll tell you under one condition. Please don't tell anybody that I did this. I don't want any recognition for it. I said, I really want to know your name. And I said, that's precisely how we are to walk in God's ways with modesty. And that's what we learn from this story. That the Torah, even though the Torah has to tell us that Reuven did this act, we don't have to put it all out there to, God forbid, give the wrong impression of a holy tzaddik Reuven. If you like what you hear, please pass it on. Shabbat shalom.